Hello, my name is Matthew Quinn, and I am here to interview the CEO of Sea Change Scotland, Sam Smith, about a trip to Australia, if that's okay, sir.
It'd be a delight, Matt.
I heard you recently had a business trip to Australia. Can you tell me a bit about how this came about?
Okay. I was initially invited to speak at a conference in Brisbane with an organisation called CREW, Community Resource Unit, who do some amazing work. And so they were having a 2-day conference, and they asked if I would do a keynote speech and a workshop. And well, it's quite a long way to Australia, so I thought when I was there I could maybe undertake some other work. So I linked in with a number of other organisations, and I ended up doing some work in Brisbane and Sydney, Canberra, Melbourne, Adelaide and Perth. So it was quite a busy time in 3 weeks.
What did you do there?
Well, as I said, I participated in the conference in Brisbane. I also did some work with some organisations that were wanting to get themselves ready for working with individual budgets, and I worked with families and peer support networks who are getting themselves ready to be working with individual budgets, and trying to think what self-directed support means for them. Oh, and I also did some research because I'm interested in human rights law, so I was really interested in the Australian approach to human rights, and particularly supported decision making instead of as an alternative to substitute decision making like guardianship. So I linked in with a few of the universities and law centres when I was there.
Right. What were people interested in hearing about Sea Change?
What were people interested in? They were interested to hear us think about an organisation that's worked with individual budgets for 15 years, because that's how we've always operated. They were interested in hearing people's stories as well. So with people's permission, I think I had your permission to talk about your story. And I also took some video footage of other people and the change that's happened for them when they've had more control over their budgets and therefore their support in their lives. People were really also interested in not just what was happening within this organisation, but what was happening in Scotland generally with self-directed support, and very keen to learn from any of the good things that had happened, but also some of the maybe not so good things that can happen when you implement something like self-directed support, or in Australia it's the National Disability Insurance Scheme. That's what they're going to be implementing.
Do things work in a similar way or quite different in Australia in regards to the social care sector?
I think things are quite different in Australia. I was surprised at the perceived power of providers in Australia, and some of the concerns, this is a generalisation, but some of the concerns of people who use services about their lack of control or choice about what they have. But Australia is just on the brink of probably one of the biggest social care reforms certainly in its history, or one of the most aspirational reforms that I've been aware of that size. And it's called the National Disability Insurance Scheme. and basically they're changing the way that the source of funding for support for people with disabilities and additional support requirements, and everybody will be entitled, if they qualify, to an individual budget. But they have set a very, very tight timescale for rolling this out. So I suspect it'll be a bit messy to start with, as everyone's learning about it and how to use it. But the aspiration of it, the intent behind it, is truly it's incredible. Really, it's incredible. So it's an exciting time to link in with our Australian colleagues.
Excellent. Did you bring any thoughts back from this trip which could be of value to how Sea Change works?
Yeah, I really did. There's some incredibly powerful and positive work happening. There's some things that reminded me of the not so good things that happened. So they still have quite big institutions in some places. So that was a kind of blast from the past for me in terms of the likes of the hospital closure programme that I was involved with Lennox Castle. But some of the really positive things are the power of some of their peer support networks, where families get together or individuals get together and support each other to realise change. I suppose it reminded me a bit of the Improvement Council and other forums that we have in Scotland, but I think we could really build on that, and they do some, there was evidence of some really nice, incredibly strong work. One of the examples of that was they trialled the NDIS in some areas, and I had the privilege of linking with some people who were part of a peer support and advocacy group in the Hunter trial site, and the energy and the just the thought that went into the work that they were doing was really, really it was really inspiring. I would like to kind of connect with them again. It was really good. And they're going to be doing some work actually to link with some of the remaining institutions to try and help advocate for people who are still in there. So.
Right. Will there be any follow-up to the work you did in Australia?
Yes, I mean, I hope so. I've made connections with lots of incredible people, and one of the organisations I linked with in Perth, they're going to be coming to Sea Change in September. I think this is what's being planned, to come and spend some time with us and maybe do a bit of learning from each other. And I've retained a link with them, and I've been having Skype conversations with them about how we can continue to learn from each other's practice. So I think some of the connections with individual people. I was really fortunate to be co-host a workshop with a woman, Narissa, whose own life story is one that a lot of people could learn from. So I'm hoping we can build on the relationships that I made, and some of the stories and some of the work that people are doing, and maybe introduce some of it, some of those connections into our 15-year celebration. We should be extending our connections internationally, I think.
Sam Smith, thank you very much.